So hi lovely people, Dave Dobbs here. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of sunset. What's the day today? It's
the 27th.
27th. So we're sort of like, and where are we?
We just crossed into Wyoming.
We just crossed into Wyoming, and
we're about 100 miles from the edge of Yellowstone.
And we're about 100 miles from the edge of Yellowstone. And that's where we're headed. We're headed to this kind of like, this area that I think is going to be very susceptible to the passage of Nibiru. But I say that in the sense that, you know, as I'm understanding it, what makes us most sensitive to the passage of Nibiru is if we look at what happened, if I'm of a mind that this flew by and what caused the Spanish Armada to be effectively scuttled, that one side, like the Catholics, knew, they believed that Jesus was coming. You know, they believed at that time, you know, and no doubt Elizabeth believed that Jesus was coming. This was part of their prophecy back then. They would have believed that this time was the same time now. You know, this massive, this powerful thing was coming in, the Son of God, the Son of a Son, the Son of a great power. And one side believed that they should wage war and build, you know, every tree was chopped down in Spain, you know, to build that great armada. It took 100 years. And they would have seen that coming in, and we saw the correction of the you know, what was it? It was the Julian calendar that became the Gregorian calendar, like maybe 4 or 5 years before the Spanish Armada set. Why did they readjust it at that specific time? That's what you've got to ask you. And how come the British, how come Elizabeth would not engage the fleet at that specific time, knowing absolutely that a massive tempest was absolutely guaranteed to come and wipe the entire fleet out? But to know that if she engaged in war, that it would wipe out the British fleet as well. And there we have the sort of like the Francis Drake scene of Drake playing bowls on the green, you know, and we have to ask why. Why is this story like this? Why did they know this? Why did they readjust the calendar? Has this thing not come round and round and round? So anyway, so back to where I am here and now, you know, we look at the situation again, and one side is being drawn into war. And if we go into war at this time, we lose the divine protection. And that is what makes us most susceptible. Not the Nibiru system, but our aggressive stance in this world right now. We need to come back. They're luring us into war. They're luring us into war. They're giving you this story that North Korea is the bad boy. And you've heard so many bad boys. Syria's the bad boy. And yet, that's your true bloodline. If we're to understand that Mary and Joseph were Jesus' parents, though he may have been born in Bethlehem, he came from Syria, he came from Damascus, this Syrian bloodline, and we're told they're the enemy, and you know, Bashar al-Assad is the enemy, and before it was, you know, the leader of sort of like Iran, he was the bad boy, wasn't he? Muhammad Ahmadinejad, you know, he was the bad boy then, and now it's no doubt it's Rouhani, and now, you know, Russia's to blame for everything, and sort of like China's to blame for everything, and North Korea's to blame everything, and Putin's telling us that they haven't got any nuclear weapons, and that we're being told that anomalous earthquakes are the cause. And what have I not offered you in all the flybys? I've shown you evidence of anomalous earthquakes. So there you go, folks. We've got. I think it's Roger and his dog Oscar, and then ahead of us we've got Steve Olson flying up ahead in another car, because we're all going off in sort of separate directions. I'm not too sure where I'm going, but the irony, just to say, is the sign coming up is Cody. We're going through Cody, and if you get this, I got your message, sorry I haven't got back to you, I haven't stopped, and we go between sort of like things, and we've just come from the conference, so it's been mad. It's been I managed to get a night's sleep last night, but ironically we're coming up to Cody. Look, I'm going to show you the sign if you can see it. Can you see that? I don't know if you got that, but Cody, I think we might be heading your way. You know, I think I might be heading your way at least. You know, I think I might take you up on that invitation and come to the come to the. I'm trying to think of the name of your centre, the healing centre, the heart. Oh, I'll remember it. I'll have to post it on the description of the comments, because I love you. I've followed your channel for so long, Cody, and I love your words. Your words when you make your videos, your words are absolutely divine. Your messages are so similar to the messages I get, except that you tap into a communication where it takes so long for me to tap into that communication. You can do it so easily and so fantastically. Got all the love in the world. And we're just seeing, you know, wonderful views of the mountains here. We're just coming into Yellowstone now. What are we looking at?
The river. It's just so beautiful. The mountains are so powerful.
I got my dear friend Richard here.
Hi.
Please say hi to Richard. He's kind of joined in and decided to come with us to Yellowstone, and he's
gonna check it out. You know, this guy knows what he's talking about. Been following him for a long time. It's an honor to meet him and Steve Olson, and we're coming to check out Yellowstone. We got to see what's going on. It's integral to the story, and if you follow this man David Dobbs' timeline, you'll know what we're talking about. This is important stuff, and I just appreciate the journey.
What do you think of the conference?
The conference was amazing. I mean, to actually have some of the best experts in the world on this field, to have Steve did an amazing job. To have all these different people was amazing. 2 days non-stop. It was the longest thing ever, but they had some technical problems in the first day, and they really worked hard. I can't believe their team, and your part of it was just absolutely brilliant. I don't know how else to describe it. It was pure brilliance. All the other speakers had a lot of information too, and I think we're all just seeking pieces of truth.
Well, am I to understand that you've sort of like you've kind of come along to this thing because I mean you follow earthquakes. You've been following earthquakes for a long time.
I got started years ago with Above Top Secret and the people there, great people. Shout out to all the hard work there, and been following a lot of other great people who do good work. BP Earthwatch and Dutch Sense.
I love BP.
Yeah, amazing work. And it was a few years ago with the eruption in Iceland that really got me just what's going on. That disrupted so much in Europe. And so, yeah, I've been following Yellowstone and Long Valley for quite some time. And this is a bucket list to come here, and to come here with you and with Steve Olson is it's just amazing. I'm so humbled.
And do you think we're going to... Do you think we're going to get a tremor?
Well, we were just looking at the last stop. There was a 2.8 at 2:34 this afternoon. I mean, the swarm never stopped. That started a few months ago.
So we're going to feel it?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many a day do you reckon at the moment? Wild guess.
Well, what they report on USGS versus what the seismos say is a different story. I mean, it seems like the seismos are talking about... And I'm talking about the seismos out of the University of Utah. Their seismographs that are all over Yellowstone that you can watch online, it looks like there's 10 to 20 a day, if not more at times. It's slowed down quite a bit. One of the best sources I use is Mary Greeley. She's amazing. Following her, she's on it she's on it. But there's a lot of people that are watching this because it is a super volcano, and you know, it's not having a lot of signs yet, but it hasn't stopped showing signs for a while, and that means we all should be paying a little bit better attention. And if you start plugging in what's happening with his timeline, with this gentleman's timeline right here, it's kind of startling. It's all coming together in a way that, man,
it's quite obvious, really, isn't it?
It is quite obvious, and so this is just a great opportunity to take a minute. We weren't planning this. We all just said, let's go to Yellowstone, and here we are, and this has been an amazing journey with amazing people. And
nice,
yeah, thank you.
Well, that was Richard, and listen, I guess I better get off. Get you know, just like shut this show down now, because we're getting close to our kind of way, and I'm gonna have a little think about trying to make a bit of a show with Steve when we get there and going through the timeline again. Quite how that's going to work, don't know, but we're just going to head there. And you know, Steve brought a bit of a high profile to the whole kind of like Nibiru thing, and I really appreciate that, because how do we look at this? How do we deal with this? How do we come together and act? Because if we can't act on this with all this data, if we can't act on this and we're kind of just trying to pretend there's a conspiracy out there to hide this, and we're the ones who can't look at it and we can't act on it, I mean, maybe there's nothing we can do. Maybe that's it. You know, you saw the flyby last year, the way it came in on the 15th of August and the way it sort of went out on the 21st of January 2017, and you saw the 22nd of November 2016 right in between, and the massive earthquake right on schedule. No way. Can you tell me that when you saw the two massive earthquakes when it came in, and the sort of like the massive earthquake in 2004 when it came in before, the sequential movements and all those sightings in between, the 200-day sightings in between, I don't need to go through those anymore. You've seen them so many times. I've made them the centre point of almost every video I've made, haven't I? You know, over and over and over and over again, and I showed all the latest updates. And I'm still yet to show you and go through the eclipse photos. But I just thought I'd sort of like try and get a video done now, just to give you a sort of running commentary and tell you where I'm going to sort of like where I'm going to head next. And I think of Cody and Kim's healing centre. I can't think for the right reason. Maybe I shouldn't be mentioning it right now. Who knows? Maybe that's best if I don't mention it right now, and I should speak to them before I sort of like I should mention it totally. That I'm on my way there, but all the love in the world to people out there, and thank you so much for all those people who kind of contributed to what Steve done. I know it seems kind of like he's trying to do something exclusive there, but he's trying to sort of like set up this whole truth network, and that needs funding, and that needs kind of like a body of people working in this, and people who can come together on certain things, when certain platforms that aren't being edited by sort of other government institutions and what have you, and pulled down for whatever reason. A little bit more of editorial control, because we just don't know what we're going to face. And so these people are trying to. Do you remember? You know, I can remember the days of Indomedia. You know, I was a massive fan of that. In actual fact, I was there, one of their first big kind of creations in Seattle, you know, for the big WTO protests. And I spent a big time, you know, out protesting, but I spent a big time of my time there just in the Indomedia office, as I did in Genoa in I can't remember which protest that was, whether it was an IMF or a G8 or a World Bank or a WTO. You know, so I went to so many in that time that time in my life, and so I was very politically active, and I was very much into the whole climate, what was global warming situation then, which kind of went into the whole kind of global cooling and the big argument that was in between that led to climate change. And you can understand why people get so ferocious when someone talks about Nibiru, because it seems to threaten all of that. And then you see all the fracking going on, and unfortunately we're just in this situation where we're just being overwhelmed with it, and we just don't know which way to go. So all I can say to you is, don't believe anything. Open your mind to all the evidence right now. I'm offering a lot of evidence. There's no history, there's no mystery in what I'm offering. You can get that from so many other sources. All I'm offering you is the geological, the earthquake evidence, and the witness flybys. You know, and I'm putting that together in a timeline, and it's pretty. You know, you don't need any creative license to make this thing fly. It's quite obvious what's happening, and you can understand that we are going under the. We're going to go over the tail of this in late October, early November, and we can see debris before then, and we're going to go over the system on the 4th of November or 4th of December, and and then this thing's going to swing back around the late December, very late December, early January, and it's going to swing back and appear to be coming towards us directly from the sun. Quite how that's going to affect us, but we can see that all coming in now because the sightings are too fantastic. I can't get around that. I wish I could turn the data into something different. I wish I could do something with that. I wish that wasn't seen as fear-mongering, but unfortunately there's just too much evidence pointing to that right now, and unless we're willing to look at it, we're not going to be able to deal with the situation. And only by engaging right now, only coming to a state of doing and being, are we going to find a solution in this? And only through peace can we really navigate through this, because we will lose all the divine protection we're going to need to get through this if we get drawn into war. And that's what this is all about. Waging peace now. You know what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and do everything they can. And once they've done every solution, they've pulled every solution. If they can't get a war off the ground, they're going to do anything. They're going to pull any story out of the hat to try and engage you into an aggressive front. And there's lots of ways they can do that. So you just got to be on your guard. You know how this. You know in yourself how this is going to go. And you know what you've got to do. It's just whether you're going to do it. I hope you do. But then if you're doing it, you don't have to hope. You don't have to want to do it if you're doing it. You're just doing it. Davey Dobbs, over and out.